Hello, friends. Good morning. Welcome to today's daily Dharma. These last few days, we've been exploring the mind state of gratitude, and among other things, talking about how gratitude is important to counteract the negativity bias of the mind, this aspect of the mind that looks and sees what's wrong. Um, And so, you're right, gratitude being the opposite of that. Wow, what's not wrong? What do I have to be grateful for? So very helpful with that. Also, when gratitude is in the mind, what's not happening or happening to a lesser degree is self-centeredness, preoccupation on the self, what the self wants. Do I have what I want? The other thing about gratitude, and this is where it really dovetails into our exploration of generosity that we'll start today, is that when gratitude becomes established, or even just maybe just in a moment of gratitude, there's a sense of more of abundance in the world, right? When we're grateful for something, there's at that time, there's not a sense in the heart and the mind that one is lacking in things, right? Those two really can't occupy the mind at the same time. So this sense of gratitude, um, and again, the more that gets established, the more there's a sense of abundance. We live in a world, we feel like we live in a world of abundance. And this sense of like a scarcity mentality can start to drop away a little bit. And then, of course, that being the case, that really becomes the causes and conditions for the arising of generosity. It's not impossible to be generous when there's a feeling of scarcity, for sure. It can still happen, but definitely more likely to happen when there's this sense of abundance in our life and in the world. And I won't talk a lot about generosity in terms of the teachings. I think you probably know just what a fundamental place it plays in this path to liberation. Basically, uh, can't be done without it. Maybe that's I could just sum it up with that. Um, we cannot walk this path without practicing generosity in its fullest range, right? And we'll explore a little bit in a minute in the seated practice what generosity might look like there. But even more so now is to say if gratitude is helping to diminish this self centeredness, how much more so is generosity? Generosity is the exact opposite of self centered preoccupation. Because when we're being generous, that's not where our attention is. It's on other, right? Well, what I'd like to do for this person, where I'd like to give my attention to this person, something I'd like to offer, a gift or material to this person. So just by definition, with generosity, we're not so much considering the self, worried about whether we're getting what we want, what we need, if we'll have what we need, etc. It's just those two things absolutely cannot occupy the mind and the heart at the same time. So just from the get-go, practicing generosity really helps with this area of clinging that is, kind of the will end up being the last vestiges of where we cling, right? To a sense of self, which, of course, is the foundation for all or most of the suffering that we come up against as human beings. To the degree that we are attached to believing in, identified with a sense of self is to the degree that there will be um, basically fear, right? That's the self's job, to be afraid it's not going to get what it wants. So generosity cuts right into the heart of the matter and addresses right away, even before we begin to meditate, it addresses this central theme of suffering in our lives. So maybe a little bit more to say in upcoming days, but let's go ahead and get into the practice now and have a sense of how generosity might show up in our formal practice. So settling into your posture, whatever that is that you like to meditate in, what's supportive for you. Consciously allowing the body to settle and soften, and consciously bringing your attention to the body, to be present with the body as it softens and relaxes. Being present with meaning feeling the body. As one becomes adept, habituated to inhabiting the body in this way, bringing one's attention to the body and feeling it feels like coming home. Feeling the body grounded, touching the earth, maybe bringing your attention to those contact points between the body and the earth below. Feeling the steadiness of the earth element, the support from the earth below, and the steadiness of the earth element in the body. Pressing down on the earth below. Earth element touching earth element. One of the common areas that generosity is talked about in, one of the arenas where we can be generous, is generosity with our attention. Usually talked about as attention towards others, other people. And in our formal practice, we can start to get a sense perhaps of the generosity of our attention to whatever arises. Freely offering, giving our attention to whatever arises in our experience, not judging it, deeming it either, you know, worthy of our attention or not worthy of our attention. but giving our attention to it simply because it is, simply because it has manifested in this life right now. Could be these body sensations, could be the sensations of the breath, could be sounds, thoughts, mind states, and emotions, the whole gamut. Seeing our practice in this way as an offering, offering our attention to the sounds, offering our attention to the sensations of breath and body, offering our attention to the thoughts and stories that roll through the mind, not pulling our attention away from them because somehow we think they're unworthy, shouldn't be there, offering our attention to the anger, to the desire, to the confusion, touching it, knowing it as intimately as possible, offering our attention to the joy, to the contentment, to the equanimity that roll through the mind and heart, being as intimate as possible with these experiences, not closing down to any experience, opening and offering our attention. What's it like to have an attitude of generosity with our attention, knowing just something as simple as the breath? What does it feel like to offer our attention to the breath, not force it? You're going to give someone a gift, you don't force it on them, right? You offer it. There's an aspect of kindness and care in that. So that our attention becomes a kind attention, soft, not just dry and surgical. May the cultivation of generosity lead us to our deepest happiness and freedom, and may this be for the benefit of living beings everywhere. Thank you for your practice. Now, as we go about our day, there's one way that I find helpful in practicing generosity, and that is to make the intention, well, first to be mindful of, but particularly then to act upon any thoughts of generosity. You know, how many generous thoughts flicker through the mind and don't get acted upon, right? Really wholesome intention. Oh, I'd like to, call this person and congratulate them on this, or I'd like to offer, this to this friend or whatever, right? Lots can go by, and but what percentage actually get acted upon, actually end up manifesting in speech or action? I know for me, that percentage is less than 100 for sure. And so, just that intention. Oh, if I think it, let me do it. Let me do it. Which doesn't mean you'll do every one, but that intention can support these thoughts, these really wholesome, lovely, generous thoughts. It can support them manifesting. And and I know you know this, what a lovely mind state to be filled with generosity is it's definitely one of the better ones. I wish you many moments of that. Enjoy it. Like the Buddha said, enjoying it before, during, and after the generous act. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow and continue to explore this lovely mind state of generosity. I'll see you then. Bye bye.